Hello, this is Dr. Glenn Shepard, and I have a video today called Designing the Ideal School. I have a series of videos about changing education, about changing the world using the design process. One of my books is called Transformation of Human Consciousness by Design, and that's what the design part is all about, using the instructional design process to change things. And you can change the schools by using that process. Another book called Freedom, Love, Joy Movement is also discussed throughout my videos. Okay. So, in order to design the ideal school, first I need to be able to, think of, where we are now and what would that ideal school look like and what would be in that school, type thing. Okay. So you look at what the schools are today, and they're pretty much a mess. I mean, really, it's not funny. I have another video called History of Education that you should see. I have quite a bit more about how schools have been used by big business. The idea of getting kids off the farms back in the early 1900s and stuff. And they wanted the people to be factory workers, answer to the bell, respond to orders, and all this sort of approach. And so basically, that's kind of what we have now. Talk about how schools are almost like prison-like. They don't have much any rights, and there are high-stake tests that stress kids out. There's bullying going on, and all that competition and is just make it a terrible place. But it meets the needs of the business, though, and government. It's easy to grade. There's whole kinds of stuff behind why the government or business wants the schools the way they are, but they don't meet the needs of the children at all. See, they're not places for children. Uh, I mean, they're training grounds or indoctrination camps. Seriously, it's not good. What would be the ideal school? What would you consider? Okay, if you were going back to school or had, thinking about your children or grandchildren or anybody's children, what do you think would be the ideal school? Okay, what would be there? What would you be doing? You think of having fun. I would think going outdoors, at least some, and being able to maybe take field trips, explore things and investigate, what's things and identify nature, like nature walks and, bird watching, identifications, kinds of cool stuff. Going to museums and art museums as well, or scientific observatories or whatever, and get to have a good time working in groups with other kids, uh, playing music, right? Uh, Dance, singing, all these things, a variety of things to do all day long. Wouldn't that be cool? You go in the morning and say, okay, what kind of cool stuff we're going to do, what we're going to learn and get really into today and get excited about, Yeah. What do you think? It seems like my ideal school. Plus, you're learning. You think, oh yeah, but who's learning anything? But in this whole process, you're learning. Okay, you're learning a lot. So the thing is about an ideal school, it has to meet all the needs of the children, not the needs of the business and government that wants them to follow orders or have a low thinking knowledge level type brains or whatever, because their minds, the consciousness need to grow and develop and evolve into higher form. Okay. And my other videos I talk about, we move from ego-centered idea, our ideas, or our person is ego-driven, and then we want to change that to other-centered or God-centered, so we're thinking more toward others, and that's how we evolve, you see. But children have all kinds of biological, psychological, physical, emotional, social, intellectual, moral, reasoning needs, spiritual, and then so many of these needs are just not being met in the schools. Children are complex. They're not robots or employees that need training, and we identify what we decide the children need, and then we put them in a training indoctrination program. No, that doesn't meet their needs. That doesn't put them in a school situation where they are learning what they need to learn, you see. So is the idea of school even possible, you think? I said examples in a friend's school that I taught at. We did that. There were no grades, there were no grade levels. We didn't do standardized tests. We just moved from one year to the next. We went to field trips and a whole lot of stuff like this. You say, well, okay, that's a private school, but can we do that in a public school? Yes, that's the point. We can do that in public schools. And I've written an article, in my book, Transformation of Human Consciousness by Design, called Creating a Constructivist Educational Community Using the Probe and Montessori Methods. Okay, and it's a constructivist approach, and it works. It will work. It has worked. Okay, we can create these kind of schools using the instructional design process and eliminate grades and grade levels, standardized tests. Take that. The first thing we need to do in designing these ideal schools, because see, there's so much pressure in just unfairness and bias and everything else that are caused by grades, grade levels, the testing, the way they're used. Okay, so yes, it is possible, and they work. They're very successful. These other schools that do this, the students go on to go to college or anything else they want to do. Their skills level are very good. Okay. So the goals for the ideal school would be to meet the needs of all the children, right? Meet all the needs of all the children type thing. Well, the needs of children is to obtain freedom and to develop their love and their joy. Okay, that's, the premise of my writing as well. Because I've been in education for over 50 years, and I worked in many, many schools and with many, many teachers. And I've begun to understand that we have to meet the needs of children. Okay, and those needs, they have to be free. They have to learn freedom. And I have a video on each one of these, a video about freedom and evolution, and why freedom is so important for children, and how we help them develop it. Okay, one on love, and we'll have another video on joy. And so these are the ways to create the ideal school. Okay, they're not simple, but there's possible, very possible. And I hope you continue to follow me at Freedom, Love, and Joy channel, and subscribe. I have a website, freedomloveandjoy.com, And I have 2 books at Amazon.com if you'd like to purchase those and read more about what I've been writing about. Okay? Okay, thank you. Bye.